Hello, sorry for the late start. How's everyone doing? Well, back in a downtrend again. And it's really frustrating, this downtrend. I can't wait for it to be over. I'm still expecting the market to make a low in December. The reason I expect that we make a low in December is because historically Bitcoin does tend to make important lows or highs in December. This was this 2018 low that we rallied from was the 18th of December or 14th of December. I think this big high that we made was the 18th of December, and so it tends to be kind of one of those turning points for Bitcoin. So, we were here or hereabouts. And when I look low time frame, I've been looking for us to make a base here and potentially another leg higher. If I go down to the hourly chart of Bitcoin and I draw my fibs in from this low to high, the retrace levels, Fibonacci retrace levels, we were sitting on this 61.8 level. Normally, if you can reverse at a 61.8 level, you can go, you will go to the 38.2 next. That's your target. So from here, had we broken the 50% pivot in the middle, which I will mark in, then we would have rallied from here. Okay, this is the 50% level to the 38.2 up here. And that also would have made a pretty nice, even just to the 200 moving average, would have been a pretty nice equal measured move. So against this 61.8 level and this higher low that I thought we were making today, I bought a little bit here. I bought a little bit here when we got above these hourly moving averages, thinking we'd get back to the 200 moving average. Unfortunately, we didn't. My stop was at 70.40, 70.40, and I've been stopped out. So there you go. It was a cheap, I don't mind having a go when I know where I'm wrong. And if we had broken this low, that's where I'm wrong, which is why my stop was at 70.40, and I was just looking to see if we could keep swinging it higher here. And unfortunately, we couldn't. So, there we go. I lost $60 per Bitcoin. It's fine. So here we are in another leg lower. The next fib retrace level we get down to is this 786 fib level. At the moment, we might see a little bit of a bounce here. The reason we might see a bit of a bounce is I think it's a bit of a funky equal measured move. If this is the ABC, but in terms of harmonic patterns, I'm actually looking for normally when your first leg stops around the 50% or higher, you are looking for at least 1.618 of the swing. I think that we've got a good chance of going down to at least 6,600. This choppy overlapping price action is all corrective, and if I go up to a 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, there's quite a strong possibility this is just the A leg and we're in a B leg before we see another leg higher and continue low. If we look at, again, we're going to go up a time frame, and if we go up a time frame in this, you can see that this would be a very small correction relative to the other ones in Bitcoin. So I would not be at all surprised to see, a low, another leg higher in correction. And then, if we're going to do another leg lower, fine, we do another leg lower. Till we start reversing and flipping these moving averages, we are still in a downtrend. And every time you try and buy it, it's counter trend until that happens. So when you're trading counter trend, trying to anticipate a bottom, you need to have a really good, firstly, you need to have a really good reason why you're buying it. And you kind of need to have it oversold. You like to see everybody bearish because that increases the chances of an oversold bounce, and you have to have a level where you're wrong. So this morning I didn't mind buying it in this because I knew where I was wrong, and I didn't pay very much to have a go. That's the opposite to when you buy a spike. And the previous swing low is quite a long way away, and you don't when you try and jump in on a spike, very often you don't know when it's going to top out and come back and retest support. So I much prefer to buying pullbacks and knowing when I'm wrong. So the other reason that I thought that there was a good chance we could rally from here was because all of the other major altcoins were sitting on really good fib levels and kind of holding support as well. So when I look around the houses, and for example here at Ethereum, we were sitting on this big 786 fib level. It looked like we were retesting it and we were going to hold it, and we haven't. We've lost the fib level, so down we go to the next one. We've had a really good reaction at each of the other fib retrace levels. So next stop for F dollar will be 112.96. If we go down to the 4 hour, you'll see what I mean about trying to hold this 786 level, and then we've just this evening, or in the last couple of hours, we've just dropped it like it's hot, really. So not much we can do about that. It will bounce, retest, and I do expect it to continue lower to that 112 level. And so a lot of other these altcoins, when you look at them against the dollar, they were all sitting on really big support levels as well. For example, here's Ripple. This was sitting on a really nice, area of previous lows, and we've broken. Could it just be another false breakdown, another swing failure pattern? Could we bounce from here and close back above the previous lows? Yes, we could. If we do, that would be a good sign. But at the moment, we're well underneath, and we really do need to wait and see where we close. Otherwise, the path of least resistance for all of these, I'm afraid, is lower. And in Ripple, that could mean that we come all the way back and we retest the summer 17 lows. So I'm open to that at the moment. Again, Litecoin was holding a big level. We've just absolutely, the bottom has fallen out of it in Litecoin as well. So, we're going down. There's really not much we can do about it. Litecoin, we kind of knew that one was going down. Some of the others were a little bit more promising, and so it's a bit more frustrating. But there's nothing really we can do about it at this point. That's where we are. So I'm going to move on and look at a few more. I'm still, if not in December, then in January, I am still looking for Bitcoin to make a base. This looks like a declining wedge to me, and from a bigger one, and from a biggest perspective, I think we're still just retracing. Whether you call this a wave 1 or a wave A, we're still in a choppy overlapping correction of the big rally that we started in December last year, and waiting for a leg high, another leg higher, whether it's going to be a C leg or whether it's a wave 3. I think at a minimum, we'll get back to 15,000. Probably higher though. I feel like this looks like a correction relative to this. So. Unless it does something to change my mind, I don't see us below 3,000. I don't really, I'm not bearish. And the fact that so many people are bearish kind of makes me more optimistic, to be honest. So kind of all of the ingredients that we need for a December reversal and a bullish reversal are lining up. So I'm a little bit more optimistic. But we just have to ride this out and wait for it to make a base now. So that's where we are. Now, we're not at new lows. Bitcoin, when it's made lows, it loves to spike, retest, and make a slightly lower low, when you look back at what we've done at other levels and when we retest them. So, we could come all the way down and make a double bottom here. I'm just going to sit back and let it do what it does, and I'm not going to buy it until I get a really good buy signal. But I do think we'll get one. And when we do, I'll yell really loud and share it. So, but for now, I think 6,660.
You don't want to skip getting 24-hour support with our booking assistant.
Oh, hold on.
You can ask.
There we go. Bit of trouble there. What's my bottom call for this run? Okay, I really do think that we will see that we won't make a new low initially, that we will find some support around 6,600. But I do think potentially that what we may see then is another, from here, another So we've got an A, B, C leg, and then I think we could still, at risk of another leg lower, we could still see that 5,000 level and then rally from there. I would be more bullish if we came down and we double bottomed or retested this low short term. Like if we make a higher low and do that, I think it's still, you know, we could. So if we made an actual double bottom, that or something like that, or if we got stuck in a sideways range and we built a bigger base, that would make me more optimistic. But you know, when you go sideways like that in the consolidation, you can really go either way. One thing Bitcoin has got really, really good at is making a false move one way before the real move. And we've seen that all the way down in this rally, in this decline. We've seen a spike higher followed by the trend lower. So we really need to wait until that trend reverses. And remember, you know, when we were going up in Bitcoin, we would see the opposite. Let's go back to when we were in an uptrend, way back when. I'm going to go back to the daily, because we would see really nasty spikes lower followed by sharp rallies. This has not got my history, Binance, so you know we kind of need to go back and reverse the pattern. So yeah, short term though, I think 6,600 I would expect to see a rally from. And then I think, you know, what's my target to the upside? Okay, I really do think that we are, and we could over Christmas, rally back to 8,500. And only if we break out of 8,500 in this kind of sideways channel we're in, would we be going up again. 8,500 is the 50% mark from this low in December to this high here in June. So it's kind of it's been a bit of a pivot level as well. Okay, very frustrating, but you know, that's Bitcoin. It just seems to do that every time. But what I like about this time is how bearish everybody is. Everybody is really bearish. So I agree. I think we're going lower, but I don't think we're going much lower before we make a bottom. So there we go. I'm going to look at Bitcoin Cash SV. This is a really funky one because we've got it against Bitcoin. We need to compare it against US dollar, really, or US dollar tether to compare apples and apples, because again, we had this big support level that we were holding in Bitcoin Cash SV on the hourly, and we've broken that. This, you know, all of these supports that I thought we were building. This is why I thought that we would have a pretty good shot. Instead, we're retesting the lows, but really these are just short-term lows. You know, I think in a bigger pullback. So this is the same pretty much as Bitcoin in that I think that we've had from this September low a decent rally. Here's our pullback, and we've still got another leg higher in BSV. It's just a question of where. Now, this is in one of those situations where potentially we could make a bottom here, but we need to see a price reaction. We need to see a really bullish reaction here and a sharp reversal to show us that this is where the buyers are. Otherwise, let's take this away. What I think we're doing is still heading lower. So the fib level, the 786 fib level from this low here to this high is a little bit lower, and it's down here at 85.56. So whilst we look at BSV, when we look at, so not that far, but we're almost there. And it's just, I'll take that away. Yeah. So I think we go, you know, after a big ABC down, we should at least go ABC up from here, and this would be a really good level to do it from, 85.56. If we look at BSV against Bitcoin, it looks like we're holding support. So again, big rally. We're looking for a big ABC correction. Now, what's interesting about this one, and I'm a little bit more bearish against Bitcoin here as well, is when you measure these legs, so you A, B, C. And the tool that I'm using at TradingView is, if you scroll down here, is trend-based fib extension. Okay, when you put it on, I'm going to put it back to what it will look like when you put it on. It's going to look like this. Okay, right? All I do is I make it. I use one color, so I go dark green. I take away the background because I don't want it, and I take away the fib levels that I don't want. So I'm only looking for the 61.8 and 1.618 and so on. So that is how I get it to look like this. So what I found when you draw these fib extensions, and very often in a correction, you know that the second leg is only 61.8 of the first leg. So if we measured this from here, that would be here. And what I find is if you get underneath these levels, they become resistance. And that's exactly what we're seeing here in BSV. So if you want to be going up again, you need to get back above this fib level. It's at 0.01324. So 0.01324, that's resistance. It's also where the 20 moving average is. And if we can't, because it looks like this, I think that this is 1, 2, 3, and we're going to see another leg lower, and then our target's going to be this equal measured move level at 0.1177, 0.01177, sorry. And we'll look for the, so that would be where this leg and this leg are equal, 0.01177. Or 1,177,000 sat. Okay. What's my views on the fake Toshi coin unlock? I don't know what to believe. What's your views? Like, you tell me. I'm really good at reading charts, but these guys, like, they're professional scammers as far as I'm concerned. So that's where we are with BSV. I think unless we get above that point, that these highs, unless we break the highs of this consolidation, the most likely path is that we head lower in BSV Bitcoin. So watch out for a breakout. Like, put an alarm, you know, on this top side, and let it, if it breaks higher, let it alert you. Okay. So the date is too close for a scam. Yeah, we'll know soon enough. We will know soon enough. I think that the bigger factor, you know, with Bitcoin is going to be the halvening, because it's not shaping up the way we've seen other halvings shape up, you know. Craig Wright's not a scammer. He's crazy, but not a scammer. I really do think the halving is a bigger factor. Okay. Do you know, okay, Hex I find really hard to get my head around, because Richard Hart's one of those guys that I've learned a lot from. Okay, and he has a really good reputation. He's a clever guy with a really good, up until now, with a rock solid reputation. So I say to myself, what the hell, why would he risk a reputation like that scamming people? It's a bit like Daniel Larimer with EOS. I didn't think Daniel Larimer, who had a, again, watertight reputation, would go out and scam people with EOS. So although EOS, and I thought kind of EOS is the same, it looks exactly like a scam, let's be honest. So this Hex thing, I'm in the kind of same place. It does look a little scammy, but I think Richard Hart, you know, has a great reputation. Why would he risk it? So I'm going to sit on the fence and watch. Am I going to risk my own money in Hex? No, I'm not. Not at the moment. Okay, that's kind of my views. You know, in the ICO crazy thing, I got sucked into a few. So, okay, but him owning half the coins, that's true of half of these. You know, did he get wrecked? Leverage trading. Leverage trading will wreck you. I'm serious. Leverage trading will wreck you. You get enough moves in crypto markets move so much. They have so much gamma. You do not need a ton of leverage. The only time you would use leverage is if you've got the rest of the money sitting somewhere else in another account. Okay, it's very, very tricky. Kim says there's whippy moves coming into January 1st. Do you know, Kim, we very often see that. And one of the reasons is, you know, it gets really thin liquidity. And so whenever it's a thin market, as in not much volume, it doesn't take as much money to move the price around. And so, yeah, it can get thrown around quite a lot. That's enough. You know, if you want to trade Bitcoin over between now and January the 1st in the holiday period, that's in your favour, though, because at least you'll see the market move. But, okay. So a little bit bearish in BSV. I think we've got another leg lower to 1,017,000 set. Okay. Sorry about that. Now I touched on Ripple earlier and how Ripple has lost some support here. Ripple US dollar, I have a feeling we are headed back to test 0.147. If we look at Ripple Bitcoin, which was looking much better than Ripple, and we were looking like we could outperform. Let's take a peek under the hood here. We bounced from a really good fib level, an 886. We tried to bounce at the 786, we couldn't. Everything is good. We're not at a new low, but we flattened out. So when you flatten out your moving averages, this is a weekly, we're dead flat here on the daily. We have got no trend. So Ripple against Bitcoin has no trend. We're flat going sideways. That means that whatever Bitcoin is doing, Big Daddy is doing, Ripple is doing too. So the value of Bitcoin goes down, the value of Ripple goes down. And so that's why we really should be looking at the Ripple dollar chart. Even if you're trading Ripple against Bitcoin, you need to keep an eye on, make sure that that's going up. This support level here, will it continue to hold? You know, it's held for, gosh, since the end of October. So that's quite a long time, more than a month this support level has held. This is, we've literally done, you know, in terms of inside bars, you know, there are some people who count inside bars. So we had a big down day on the 26th of October, okay, and every single bar since then has been an inside bar. There was one big bar that controls them all. So this is, you know, that's no trend. This is indecision, really. And this is Ripple doing the same as Bitcoin. So we really do need to watch Ripple US dollar, watch for a double bottom, watch for it to find support in Ripple US dollar, and that will be us going up again. And when we get back above these moving averages, or if we break out of this consolidation, and, you know, remember, if we break out of this sideways range, then this top of this bar, that's still going to be like our first horizontal resistance. Not much to do. That'll be where we'll be looking for our first kind of major resistance, and that's going to be around 3434. But ahead of there, you know, that will be us above the 200-day moving average and back in an uptrend. So nothing to do really in Ripple except try not to get chopped up. David says Monero's your big favorite. Yeah, Monero. Now Monero's not against the US dollar. Monero is not at new lows. That's one of the few that hasn't made a new low tonight. 47.9 against the US dollar. I'd like to see hold on a retest. That would be really positive. But, you know, flat moving averages pointing downwards. It's not starting to go up yet. It's holding up, I would say, better than the others, but it's not in an uptrend or turned up higher again yet. So let's take a look at Stellar Lumen, because Stellar Lumen, we had a big sideways range again, a bit like Ripple. It's such in Lumen, we'd been in this sideways range since September. We're just testing the lows. It's kind of a bit disappointing that we've made a new low here. Let's see if we close underneath this sideways range, because if we do, that will become resistance. And I'm afraid, just like everything else, Lumen against US, we're looking at against US dollar. And the reason we're looking at against US dollar is because we need to it's deceptive to compare anything against Bitcoin at the moment. So if we look at fib projections from this last correction, this says a little bit lower from here at 46.12 we could find some support for XLM lumens against dollar tether. So 0.04612. Otherwise, I'm afraid this one's solidly still in a downtrend. Now we could also take a projection short term from this low to high here. And that's not as happy either. This says, in fact, further to fall. So I would just put this one on the back burner and wait until it stops going down. You know, these markets move down with a lot of momentum, and V bottoms are very rare. But you will eventually, like here, you'll see a candle like this where we pause. And then we have another inside day and we pause and we make a bit of a base. Then we have a day when we probe higher and we go all the way back. That inverted hammer is your like bullish sign. So, you know, the first thing we have to do in all of these coins is stop going down. This is a weekly chart. See how much time we had to buy that back here when this made a base? Loads of time. So we'll do the same. At the moment, it's just got to stop going down, unfortunately. I say that as a trend trader. Just, you know, it's picking lows. You've got to have a really good reason. A really good reason. So headed lower for XLM. And again, ADA is another one that, this is another one. This is why I felt so quiet. I thought we really could see a decent bounce. This was a really good support level in ADA. Here we were at this 886 fib level. We had bounced off it several times. We may still bounce back tonight and close back above it. It may just be a little bit of a shakeout. And if we do close back above this level at 0.3482 in ADA US dollar, that would be another swing failure. Look underneath and bounce back up again. But we really do need to close underneath it, because if we don't, and if we, in fact, tomorrow, if we then try and rally back to it at this level and we get rejected here so that it becomes resistance, okay, then we're definitely going down. So if you're looking at this and you've got some ADA and you're not feeling very comfortable because you would quite like to not be in it, or you would like to sell, wait and see what happens when we retest this level. And if we turn lower again, that's going to be your sell place. That's where you, as far as you'll get. If we get above this level though, and then we hold above it again, it'll be like a little oopsie like here, and then we'll be fine. So you need to see it back above and then a higher low above, okay? And then that's where, when it turns up again, that's where you want to buy it. So ADA US dollar still going down. And that doesn't mean that ADA Bitcoin's going down. It could mean that still ADA's still outperforming Bitcoin, but I'm afraid it doesn't look like it today. So wait, let's see. Here we go. So hold on. There we go. Get out of that writing mode. So we've really tried in ADA. Look at these flat daily moving averages, sideways range. We've really tried to go higher. Unfortunately, this is, I think, an ABC correction, so ADA Bitcoin. So if we measure from this low to this high and we project it from here, then you can see I need to extend these lines. When I showed you how to set it up, I didn't do that. Okay, wait, where do I extend the lines? I'll just go back to using, there we go. Now the lines are extended. ABC correction, 2 equal measured moves. And now, since then, on this daily, this looks like a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern up here, doesn't it? So head and shoulders, bearish head and shoulders after a bearish ABC. I would say that we're probably headed back towards the bottom of the range. So not much going on here. And it does look like an ascending channel, doesn't it? So we could draw it like this as well. use the closing prices, and then we can have it there as an ascending channel. So first stop would be the bottom of this ascending channel, probably somewhere around 450, 468, 470. And then if this breaks down, that will then be another leg lower. What's interesting about this, remember we were just doing fib projections for our targets. When in ADA, when you run fib projections for the corrective bounces, this was a 1272 level that we failed to hold. And so our targets line up. We're at 1.618 of this swing down here, and we're at 1.618 of this bigger swing. If I zoom out, this bigger swing down here as well. So that becomes a really nice area of confluence, and that becomes our target zone between, gosh, 106 and 143. That's a long way down from here because we're at 492. Anything that starts with a 1 from here is bad news. So, and look here, we're holding also underneath this first initial low. That's where we couldn't get back above as well, and the 200 moving average. So I'm not ruling out, one more attempt, but only I think back above these lows in the 200 moving average would I want to start buying ADA again. And so they all come in here around 570. So yeah, looks like a bear flag. What's scary about this bear flag is it has quite a long handle. Okay, so pass on ADA for now, I'm afraid, for that reason. So V-chain is the next one we're going to take a look at. Now, let's go to start on a weekly. We'll fit it all on the chart. I drew my fibs all the way from this initial, this is Binance, drew my fibs all the way from this initial high to the low. And whenever you do that, your first target is always the 236 fibs. So that was our first target here at 106. And amazingly, or not amazingly, it lined up perfectly with this Adam and Eve double bottom down here. Look, spike low, and then this lovely rounded retest that didn't unfortunately work. So that was major resistance. It's not weird that we've got rejected here in V-Chain Bitcoin on the weekly, but we are going to see now a bit of a pullback. We could see at least 50%, if not more. So if we put on, 50% from here, we're not quite there yet, or we are just touching it now on the daily. And in V-Chain, what's quite interesting here, V-Chain Bitcoin, so I measure this high to low like this. This is also kind of equal measured move approximately. It's not exact, but it's also the daily 50 moving average, which is quite strong support and resistance if we go back in V-Chain. So around here in this little area is major support for V-Chain, major support, and it's holding at the moment. I've got my Heikin-Ashi candles on. We've just today tagged that 73 50% pullback level. Okay, so in this zone I would like to see a reversal in V-Chain, but it's not happening yet. Don't worry, Jordan, I'll recap Bitcoin at the end. Okay, David says join. Okay, so we've only just tagged this level, so we're not going to see a bullish reversal yet or a bullish pattern. When you want to see, like here, you want to see a double bottom, you want to see a nice bounce, a retest, a higher low. We've got a way to go before we see that in V-Chain. So against Bitcoin, potentially we could bounce here. It's right at the level where we could do it. But now let's take a look at it against the dollar or against Tether, because does it matter so much if we're still in a big downtrend? No. Now here, this one, this is quite interesting too. I'm going to put these levels on because we did that. Okay, so from this big high to this low, that's the high in V-Chain dollar in June to this low. We reversed twice at the 61.8 level. So we're in that 618, 38.2. Sometimes the golden ratio zone extends down to the 236 fib, which it's done here. So double top, double bottom. We're in a sideways range in V chain, and this is, look, the bottom of the range. So I think we've got a little bit further to fall before we test the bottom of the range again. We've got sideways flat daily moving averages, and so, you know, potentially we've got a little bit further to fall. 4,836 is the level. Might go a little bit below that if we do, look, an equal measured move. So in that zone, then here between 4,800 and 4,500, I would expect V-chain tether to find some support. Okay, so close to where I think we'll find a bottom. Okay, V-chain US dollar, but V-chain Bitcoin looks really good, a really good level. Just need to see if we can find some buyers now. Next one we're going to look at is XTZ. Sorry, I'm being a bit slow here. No. Can't remember where I'm hiding XTZ. I'll just find it now. Here, Tezos. Okay. Now this is XTZ against the dollar. You can see that we're in a really nice uptrend, and I'm just going to show you a little trick here. So from these lows, each time we pull back, so this is our first big swing higher. We pull back to the 38.2 fib very nicely. Up we went, and I think we've done another big swing here like this. If we say from this correction, this was our big swing here. We're nearly back at this 38.2. You know, very often, if we look at each of these swings individually, that's where this markets tend to have come back to, 38.2. So potentially 38.2 of this big swing would be a really good place to find support, or 50% of this most recent swing, if we mark where that is, lines up just here, just underneath where we are now. So I'm just going to mark where I think that we will likely find some support down here, around 1.57 against Tezos US dollar. So compared to the rally, if we look at this on a 4-hour chart, you will see that compared to the rally, which was nice and strong and 5 waves, this looks like a choppy overlapping correction. I just think we've got a little bit lower to go. At the moment, though, it's making a little bit of a double top bottom. So whenever you see a double bottom, it says to you, maybe we've stopped going down. And in fact, if we break the highs at the top, we have stopped going down. But otherwise, you know, flat moving averages, they've all flattened out, no trend. And so I'm just thinking that a little bit lower, 50% of this last swing would be where I'd be looking for it to come back to. 61.8 in fact. So in fact, no, if I put this on, that's where we are. Oh, my bad. We're there. Look at that. We are there. So 1.6176, potentially we could find support here, but we will only know that we're going up again if we break these highs. Otherwise, we're just consolidating sideways. So you try and buy as close to the bottom as you can and wait and see if we pop out the top. I'm not sure it's a great idea to buy any of them while we're still dropping, but once they bounce, a market that's in an uptrend like this one is one of the ones that you should look to buy because it should outperform. In fact, if we look at Tezos against Bitcoin, you will see how much it is outperforming. And you'll see that the fact this is a little bull flag, and here we are all the way up here at the highs. So what I like to do for this is I'm going to just put some projections in. Clearly, okay, I'm going to use this most recent swing here. Oops. Yeah. lining up. That's fine. Let's take a look at it on a 4-hour, because we're riding these moving averages nicely. You know, in a trend, you go up, you consolidate sideways, you either break the lows and you're doing a bigger correction, or you carry on higher. So this one, I'm just waiting for this one to turn and carry on higher. Let me see if I can get a longer history. Yeah. There we go. I had it all marked up here. Now these, look, we've got a double top level out here. This is going to be a bit of a magnet at 1.94. This is definitely where I think we head for next. And if we exceed 1.94, we're going to look for projections from this swing. Okay, and we're going to look for projections from this swing. Okay. Take that away and we see. But this, yeah, these previous highs, 1.95, 1.94, are going to be a magnet first off. And then I would be looking for 2.28, and I'm going to use this smaller correction rather than this one. And I would say 1.618 extension of this, which takes us to 2.7 if we can make new highs. What I like about this is how see how we're holding above these highs here. And let me just put regular candles on. Yeah, this closing price here. So now, this is quite important because I'm just going to go back and put this high to low on here, because this is a 886 fib level. Okay, so when you use your fib levels, you're going up and down. They're like a little bit of a staircase. You get above one, find support, carry on. Okay, so that means if that's our 886 fib level, then our 786 fib, you know, should be support. And if we break underneath it, we're going to do a fib pattern correction. And in XTZ, that looks to me like what we're doing. And so when you reverse an 886 fib, your target is back to the 50% of the same swing. So look, I've drawn it from here to here. That's the 886 level. When you break above this, below the 786 fib level, that says you're in a bigger correction. And so I think XTZ US dollar is headed back to 1.345 from here. Let's see how that looks against Bitcoin. So let's go back to Taser XTZ Bitcoin and see. This is quite a major level when we look at it against Bitcoin as well, isn't it? Third touch of a trend line very often is a false breakout. So that's what we've seen here, a little false breakout. If we draw from this high to this low against Bitcoin, this is also an 886 fib level. Now against Bitcoin, we haven't quite broken this 786 support low, this previous fib level that we broke through. But if we do break underneath it, so if we break underneath 23,000, then our target is going to be from here down to the 50% at 17.5. So if you are long against Bitcoin and you're watching this, if we break underneath 23,000, that's your exit, because we will do a much bigger correction, and that will be your confirmation of the reversal, if you like. So Andrea says, what do I think of Bitcoin? You know, I will take a look at Bitcoin at the end, because that's quite interesting. So watch out for these 886 reversals here in XTZ. If we look at this swing, was this one an X? Look, that was an 886 as well. It's funny how these patterns reverse themselves. So in this first swing, we rallied to the 886. And look, when we did reversed here, or first play, you know, we came back to this 50%. In fact, we went beyond it, but that's your first target. So watch out. Okay. I do think it's an important support level in Bitcoin. I will interrupt you. Bitcoin, very disappointing, but you know, when we were looking at this, we got stuck here for a week, didn't we? We got stuck under the 20 moving average and still in a downtrend. So after this big 5-wave rally in ETH Bitcoin that started in September, so we've got 5 waves up, we should expect a 3-wave correction. Okay, and this 3-wave correction, now we're going to be looking for an equal measured move again here as well. So from this high to this low, project it from here. This 61.8 is why this is a really important level. 19,175. If we close and hold underneath it, and if it becomes resistance, in other words, if we can't get back above 19,175, I would say that we're probably going to continue down to 17,500 in ETH Bitcoin. But otherwise, these previous lows, this 61.8 projection level, it all lines up to being really, really important support for ETH Bitcoin. I agree with you for more than one reason. If we also put our fib retrace on from this low as well, I'm just going to mark where the 61.8 is, because it wouldn't be crazy if we just tagged that 61.8 and bounced hard off it. It doesn't look like we quite reached it. Did we? Let's see. Yeah, it looks like we did. So 3 reasons why we find support here. 61.8 fib retrace, as long as I've drawn it correctly, I think I have. These previous lows and this 61.8 projection. So it all adds up to a lot of potential support for ETH Bitcoin. And you know, when ETH Bitcoin rallies, the altcoins tend to rally. It's quite a good altcoin indicator, isn't it? Okay, let's scoot along, and we're going to look at AGI next. Not sure. Here we go. I'm not sure who requested this one, so we'll take a look anyway. Now, I was hoping that AGI was going to build a really nice big head and shoulders pattern. I was hoping actually that we would rally out of the top here and break the 200 moving average in this rally and keep going, and this would be our little head and shoulders pattern like this. Okay, so here's our shoulder, head, because the best head and shoulders patterns have kind of symmetry. They're balanced, they have similar size left and right shoulders. But you know, when we look at this, really this was a double left shoulder, wasn't it? So now I'm thinking maybe we're going to get a double right shoulder. So this is a, and if we did that, we really kind of need to rally from around whereabouts this left shoulder went. So we're almost there. And then that would look more balanced, wouldn't it? If we could rally from here. Because then we would have a big double left shoulder, head, double right shoulder. So maybe we find support, but really, otherwise, this is a, we are completely becalmed. We have completely dead flat daily moving averages, and then when that happens, this becomes a sideways range. So within this sideways range, you know, when you bounce off the top, which we've touched 4 times, you're going to go back to the lows. And here's, look, here's the tops that we've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, look, you know, double tops. So the first potential support level, therefore, is here around 225, and otherwise a full retest of the bottom of the range at 210. So we've got a little bit further to go. AGI, Bitcoin, AGI is underperforming Bitcoin, and you know, if Bitcoin's headed lower, then it's probably a good one to sit out and wait. Do I think we're building a really good bottoming pattern? I really do, but we really need to see the buyers, and I think it might go a little bit lower. I think all of this also comes from this low here, so potentially this is another low in the middle, level in the middle here. So that's what I'm looking for in Singularity, AGI, sideways, headed back to the bottom of the range. I don't believe, I think AGI US dollar might look not as pretty, but well, yeah, not quite as pretty. still headed lower, unfortunately. Do you know, we're very close. That's interesting. Sometimes if you break fib supports, they become resistant. So if we look at here, that's what happened here. So we're very close to a big, huge 1.618 projection. So let's see. Let's see what happens here in AGI. But AGI Bitcoin, that's I would like to see it outperforming Bitcoin before I dipped into that one again. So let's wait and see. It's a night of bad news, isn't it? Do you know there are some coins that are in a really nice uptrend against Bitcoin? We just have to wait. Look at this as being a pullback, and then we get a jump in, you know. And there are, I'm trying to think of one, some that, like, I really like this pattern here in Verge. This is Verge. Look at this lovely bottoming pattern in Verge Bitcoin. For the first time, we're back underneath this 200 moving average. I kind of feel like dips in this next leg lower in Verge could be a great buying opportunity. I agree. Zen is another one that's doing really well. Waves is doing really well. So for those coins, you know, these pullbacks are buying opportunities. So yeah, it's not all gloomy out there, even though the ones we've been asked to look at tonight are not so endearing. But let's take a look. So I feel like we're building a pretty decent base here in Raven coin as well. The problem in Raven coin is, again, dead flat moving averages. I'm hoping it's accumulation and that we'll see a really good rally out of this. But again, Raven coin, Bitcoin, probably headed back to the bottom of the range, and that means a little bit further lower than where we are now. This sideways look, I think with the trend is probably gonna swing lower, and so I wouldn't be tempted to buy this one yet. There's one thing that I do like, so when you put your fibs on like this, so I put it from the highest high to the lowest low like this, and I use that 236 fib level. Okay, so if you get above that 236 fib level, you've usually got a bigger thing going on, a bigger correction. So, you know, or I use the moving averages, as you know. So if we get above those moving averages, I look for them to support and then carry on higher. But there's no sign of it yet in Raven coin against Bitcoin. And if we're going down against Bitcoin, you don't want to be in this. So we're pretty close. Again, we're pretty close to the bottom of the range. If we get a nice bullish reaction there, then I think it's good to look at a pullback. I think it's really good to look at an oscillator like this RSI when we get back down into oversold territory or back down below 30, then Raven on the daily should be a buy again, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm going to say leave Raven for now as well. Now MATIC, what the hell? MATIC was one of those ones that had the most spectacular of rallies and profit taking at previous highs. So sent it all the way back, like all the way back. Where have we come back to? We've come back to the 200-day moving average. We've come back to the 786 fib level, and you know, potentially this is a good level to bounce from. When we dropped here, everybody was like, is it going to spike all the way up again? And I said, you know, we're underneath this 61.8 level. That's now resistance. So you need to watch and see. If we get above it and hold above it, then we'll keep going higher. But on the daily, if we can't close above it, we're still going lower, and that's what we've done. So now we're at this next fib level. It's pretty good. If we look left a little bit, we can see it's okay support and resistance. It's the 200-day. So that gives us 3 reasons why we may find support here. A fib level, the 200-day moving average, and a previous swing high. And so now we just have to watch on the bottom here. Are we going to build a bit above base on a retest? Are we going to make a double bottom, something like this? On the hourly, we've got this really nice little tight little sideways range going on, isn't it? So if we break out of this nice little tight sideways range to the upside, we're going up. And if we don't, we're going to see another leg lower and we're going to break that 200-day moving average. So not a buy yet, but if we break out of this sideways range to the upside, I think it would be quite a nice one. And that's at 206. So I'd put an alert up there. So let's see. Now, what would be our expectations from a bounce from this 786 fib? Well, the first place we're going to go is back to retest this 61.8 level that we broke. So we're going to go back and retest 266. So that's going to be your first resistance, okay? And this swing high. And if we can't get above 266, then we're in a sideways range. If we do get above 266, then our target becomes the 38.2, which is at 382. So the meat, if you like, in our sandwich is the trade between these two levels. Okay, above 266, we're looking for 38.2. And then I think we'll see a pullback like this, and then the market will decide whether either carry on lower or we'll pull back and up we go. So that's how I see MATIC. Very good level to buy, just watching for the price action, and then let's see if we can get above 266. Okay, so that's MATIC, and then Atom. God, I've talked a lot tonight, haven't I, about hardly any coins. Okay, so one thing about Atom, this is a weekly chart. Let's go to the daily chart. What I like about Atom, and I drew my fibs all the way, this is Binance chart, all the way from the high when it was launched to the low here. And what I like about this is how each one of these fib retrace levels has been respected. So the first time we came to this 236 fib, we struggled, double topped, had a nasty reversal. And then once we got above it, up we went. And the 38.2, we did the same thing. Bounced off it pretty nastily, stalled underneath it, had a bit of a fight. Up we went. We paused for one day at this 50 moving average, 50 Fibonacci level, 50% retrace rather, because it's not a fib level. And now we're above it. This 50% should be support, and we should carry on higher from here. And then we should be moving up to the 61.8 next. It's like climbing a staircase, if you like. So I don't want to see us close above 58.96. And I think we should carry on higher from here. So now when we look at this level on a lower time frame, we can see on the hourly, in fact, we are trying to build, this is the previous high, this is where we stalled here. We are trying to build a nice little base. So this is another one where we've got hourly sideways consolidation. If we break the highs and above these hourly moving averages, we should be underway, our next leg higher underway, and our target next at 6865. So looking good if we can bounce again off here in Atom Bitcoin. Continue to trend higher, in other words. If we lose this support level, then we're in a bigger correction, and probably a good time to stop swing trading it and get out and wait for the bigger correction. Okay, let's take a quick pick at Atom US dollar, because you do kind of want to make sure that it's not looking too awful, so, or hasn't made some really bearish pattern. So one of the reasons I'm a little bit cautious here, okay, from this high in Atom US dollar, we're going to do the same thing with the fibs levels. This is cracking. So this high to this low, this 236 was perfect, wasn't it? Retrace this 38.2 is perfect retrace. So now we can say the same thing again when we're going to pull back here, look for support. When we get above this high of yesterday and above 4.58, then our next leg higher will take us to this 50% level, which looks like quite a pivot level as well at 5.4. So it's just a matter now of how far are we going to come back here. So looks pretty good. So let's take a look at Wavez. Now, one of the reasons I wouldn't, this waves looks amazing, doesn't it? Now, if we let's zoom out to the weekly first, because we've got this spike low, and so I'm kind of alternating between my fib retraces from this spike high to low, which gives us a first 236 fib target up here around the weekly 50 moving average, these previous lows, and that's where that is from the spike low. But if I don't, and if I measure in fact from this most recent swing lower and I look at the fibs, that also lines up with the 61.8 of this swing. At the moment, we're stalled at the weekly 20 moving average, a little bit ahead of our weekly daily 200, but the volume is huge on this. I think we've got some gas to keep going here, and so I think that buying pullbacks is favored in waves, and I'm looking for at least this 200 moving average next before we see a decent correction, and I would really like to see us above it, but this combination of support and resistance in the 200 moving average might be too much first time. So I think keep buying dips. We're looking for 1300, then maybe we see a slightly bigger dip, but then my next target, also pretty good support and resistance level, is 1628. There, I think we might see a pullback to retest this 200 moving average and then carry on. But really good signs of a trend reversal in waves Bitcoin. Short term, where are we going to look for a pullback to? So let me take some of these away. So for me, whenever I'm looking at pullbacks, I put fib score on going the other way. As long as we hold above this 236 fib level, we don't close underneath it. I'm looking for us to hold it and carry on higher. And if we do, we've got a bigger correction going on, and I think that we come back to this swing low here and this 50% level, which would be at 972 for a bigger pullback. Okay, that previous low and 50% of the rally. So as long as we hold above 1100, don't have a close underneath it, we're still going up. But if we do, look for us back to 972. Okay, so how does this look? Just see how we're doing in an hour. Okay, we are fighting for this level, so hang in. Okay, so those are the levels. Let's look at waves US dollar, because you kind of you don't want to get sucked in. You do want something that's having a move against the US dollar as well and actually going up in all of these currencies. Waves is doing that very nicely. So we're going to say our first fib target in this one, and these previous lows here come in at 1.0364. That's what I'm looking for. This is not from the highs. This is from this high here. So yeah, I think we continue higher before we see a major correction to 1.0364. So waves looking good. And Monero. We looked at Monero a little bit. Monero again, I'm going to say, because Monero's not at the new low against the US dollar. It's holding up relatively well. I would like to see 47.9 hold on a retest and the buyers come out there. If we look at Monero Bitcoin, we're right on support here as well. This support is where we found support before, and this daily 50 moving average. However, these moving averages are flattening out now, and this could end up being a sideways range, which would mean actually all the way down back to these lows again, because this is sideways. They don't work quite so well in a sideways range as support. If we were looking at this as then an ABC correction, that would just be two equal legs, wouldn't it? Because we would then retest the lows. So potentially here support in the middle at this 61.8 level, but I think more likely we come back to 68.43 and look for support there. So it is relatively holding up pretty well, isn't it? But So that's the daily view. Short term, have we got any signs of a bottom here? I have to say it doesn't look like it, does it? And we've broken these lows. So, you know, we're back underneath them pretty snappily, but it's not a compelling uptrend for me yet. Have to wait and see. Okay, crypto Stel says BAT. BAT is one of my favorite ones. Let's look at it. Basic attention token. It is one of my. Another one that I think it is KNC is setting up as well pretty nicely. Now, this is BAT US dollar. I'm going to take these funny little fibs away. Let's take these away as well. Let's start again with a clean chart. Okay, big picture. Nasty fall from the launch in the US dollar. And really, on the daily, a pretty funky sideways range for, God, more than a year, isn't it? A year and a half, if we call this. So what I would like to see is the biggest head and shoulders pattern ever made. And this is where this level, see this first low that we made here back in March 2018, that was where we found support before. And so, you know, it's not a bad level. I think that we've got 5 waves down, and now this is an A leg, and we're waiting to see if this B leg bottoms and we can have an, or a wave, you know, wave 2 to be over, and if we can turn up again. I'm going to put my RSI on because I find it easier to see divergence than in, I find it easier to see divergence on it than on the CCI. So if we get down to a 4 hour, no, it's just choppy, isn't it? It's not helping. Well, clearly, in this pullback, we've stopped going down. What we've done is go sideways. So we've got sideways consolidation going on. Now, we either, from this, we're either going to break higher or we're going to break lower. Most likely, when you're in a downtrend, these kind of triangle patterns or wedge shapes break lower, and in which case we retest the support and the lows around here, 0.155. But if we do break to the upside, then obviously these previous highs, the last highs before the low, and this 4-hour 200 moving average around here, that would be my kind of, okay, we're definitely going up if we get above those. You know, if a downtrend is lower highs and lower lows, then as soon as we take out one of those lower highs like this one, then we're going up again. So that's what I look for. I really do like basic attention token. I would love it to start going higher. I would love to see it pop back above this daily 20 moving average and start turning things around. It has slowed down. It's not going down anymore. You know, everything else is having a really bad day against the US dollar, and this one hasn't, you know, smashed down to new lows or anything yet. It's just we haven't turned the trend around. If we look at BAT, Bitcoin, which is much more wholesome, let's go to the daily in this one. Look at how bunched up we are with these moving averages. Now this looks like, to me, a perfect nice big rally, ABC correction, ready to hold the 200 moving average and boom up higher again. But the problem is we can't get above this daily 50 here, and if I put the 236 fib on from these highs, probably it's around there as well. So we need to get above this 50 moving average, and we need to close above this 236 fib level, which it doesn't look like we've been able to do. We've had a good look above it, but we cannot close above this level. So closing above 25.97 or trading above this daily 50 moving average would be a bullish reversal. For now, we're just stuck going sideways. Not lower, not higher, just chopping people up, unfortunately. So that's what I would look for. A daily close above 25.97, I'd be very interested. we can rally here again out of this. We'll just say, well, that was a false spike, third touch, false breakout. If we can rally back above this 236 fib level, that would be a good look, I think, and worth having another go. Nice to be, it would be, see how big this left shoulder, it'd be nice to see a nice kind of symmetrical inverted head and shoulders pattern here. Oh, the Daleks, your Amazon package. Well done, Daleks. Okay, that's where we are then. Good night, everybody. I'm sorry it's such a depressing night. I will be here next week. I will be looking at the markets over Christmas. I will do Monday the 23rd of December as well. So if you're going to be keeping an eye over Christmas, crypto over Christmas, we'll still be here looking at with you. Okay, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate all of you. Bye.